Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the Rap Philosophy Podcast, a hip-hop podcast where we're talking about news, music, and culture surrounding hip-hop. I'm your host, Omar, and here are my co-hosts today. Nobody, but they'll be back next week because we had a rough snow day. Stay tuned right now where we're going to talk about Eminem, Mac Miller, Redman's new song. Let's get it. Mac Miller. When I heard of this album release, I was really excited. The album called Circles. And Mac Miller was one of those artists that I come to know in much later times. And he's one of those artists that has transcended what I think is a typical rapper, right? And if you listen to his old Swimming album, or the previous Swimming album, and Circles, obviously, you know, it's almost like a question of, and rest in peace, Mac Miller, are these albums really hip-hop? And I mean, one could argue that they're not, but for me, I would definitely call them hip-hop. But I would say that they've definitely transcended what would be typically known as a hip-hop album. They transcend into all these other genres. And Circles is one of those albums that definitely transcends what we typically know as hip-hop. But that can lead you into a question of what makes an album truly hip-hop. Is it the sound? Is it the artist? You know? And I think Mac Miller is one of those people that, if you go back in his history, right, there's some artists that feel like industry plants. There's some artists that feel phony and fake. But when you hear Mac Miller's current album, Circles, you don't even know, like, the sound is a cross between hip-hop, a cross between just lounge, coffee, house, you know, hipster, quote-unquote, even sometimes gospel style sound. But if you go back to Mac Miller's first days, he's like a straight up rapper. And he rarely, I would say, raps in this album. And even though he doesn't really rap that much in the Circles album, this album to me is one of those albums that I think could go on to win a Grammy and go on to really conclude, you know, Mac Miller's great legacy. And whether it's going to conclude, that has yet to be seen. But it's one of those albums that has a lot, you know, to it. And, you know, when I turned it on, you know, at nighttime. And I found, like, before I was sleeping. And I found that it kind of, I don't want to say put me to bed, but I just really just vibed to it. Like, I felt sort of like in this like trance, you know, to the Mac Miller album. It's something about his voice, his sound. It's something about the production quality, the style of the production. And now I don't know, it could be that perhaps Mac Miller wasn't around. He obviously wasn't around, but I don't know if he had the chance to truly like refine the album, or these were like kind of like cuts of tracks that he had left behind that he still wanted to, you know, refine. And maybe a producer had to take it upon themselves to, you know, refine the tracks. And maybe if Mac Miller was still around, there would be more to it. But despite that, Circles is an album that I think has a lot to say about life, has a lot to say about, you know, if we look at the state of hip hop, you know, with the murder of XXX Tentacion, with the passing of Juice WRLD through what is allegedly an overdose of opioids, drugs, or painkiller medication, something like that. I can't remember the exact one. You know, with the passing of Lil Peep over drugs, just so many artists. And Mac Miller was one of those artists. And Mac Miller passed due to, you know, one of these, you know, drug overdoses, but it was like one of those things where I think he was trying to get high, and again, this is all alleged, I don't speak on this that much, but he passed because the drug was, you know, not the drug that it was supposed to be, and it had something else in it, some, you know, fentanyl overdose. So Mac Miller, it's like he speaks on what the state of life, the feeling of, you know, what is the meaning of life, you know, and like the pain that people go through. And how do you resolve that pain? And how do you basically take life for what it is and balance it out, like for what we know of the evil, and balance it out for the good? And I want to do, like, you know, a track by track review of Mac Miller's Circles album. When I just turned this on, I just couldn't believe it, what I was going to hear. How many, rap songs or rap albums do you know will start like this, the way Circles starts? And just the way that starts, it lets you know that this album is on a whole other level. It almost feels like when you listen to Mac Miller, it almost feels like Mac Miller is looking down on us, teaching us about life. And in his Circles, he says, well, this is what it looked like right before you fall. Stumbling around, you've been guessing your direction. Next step, you can't see at all. I don't have a name, Who am I to blame though? And I cannot be changed. Trust me, drawing circles. Watching the world falling. Down is decline, and I can keep you safe. I mean, he goes on to discuss the pain and the stress of life. And I like the I know NBA Youngboy had this metaphor of drawing symbols where he was feeling the pain of life and drawing, when you I feel draw to distract yourself. But Mac Miller, in his explanation of drawing a circle. Circles is a track that kind of just gets turned on, and it's just an introduction of what this is gonna be sounding. Then Complicated comes in and it kind of raises your mood a bit. So in Complicated, the beat gets raised, the mood gets raised, and the verse goes, outside is cloudy, but I like that better. Behind the wheel, but still I ain't on my way. Some people say they want to live forever. That's way too long. I'll just get through today. And the song goes on, to talk about that, that feeling, right? Where we plan our futures, and Mac Miller is saying, it's so hard to plan the future. Let's just focus on today so we don't get stressed out in life. And it's kind of interesting, to hear someone like Mac Miller talk about this, because he's achieved such success and notoriety over his music. You would imagine that someone has really thought through or planned their life to get there. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe they get through there through the everyday. So maybe that's Mac Miller's way of telling us, focus on today. Don't get yourself stressed out. Don't make life so complicated. And I don't know, it's just, to me, I love that, I just love that. I love what he's trying to say there. It's something that he goes on in verse 3. Inside my head is getting pretty cluttered. I try but can't clean up the mess. For I start to think about the future first. Can I please get through a day? And that's something a lot of people can relate to. Just getting through the day. Getting through one day at a time. Mac Miller. Let's go to the next track. Again, Blue World keeps that complicated, sound, dun, 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 and a little more upbeat. It's trippy. It's a trippy album. It's a trippy song. It's just this overall trippy vibe that you get. No trippy, no red. So with Blue World, it sounds like a song where he's talking about the craziness of life, the craziness of the world that we face. And he goes and he calls it, it's a blue world without you, it's a blue world alone. A blue, everybody knows blue, sad. And almost this whole album almost feels like blues, jazz kind of sound, blues kind of vibe. Maybe you could call this rap blues. But it's just his depiction of life being insane. Well, this mad world made me crazy, might just turn around, do 180. I ain't politicking, I ain't kiss no babies. The devil on my doorstep, being so shady. Don't trip. We don't gotta let him in. Don't trip. I let it go, but I never go with it. I love this song. Is just about again the craziness of the world. Just trying to keep up. Trying to not fall through. Everything that you see fall through the cracks, fall through what's crazy out there. Maintain, but it's still a crazy world because we have to kind of deal with all this stuff in our society. And it's just I think it's just amazing for a rap artist. If he was still alive, I think there's so much that could be done with this, you see this upliftment of hip hop where we have now people making, musical productions on Broadway like Hamilton. I think Mac Miller could have, transcended a lot of these things and done so much more with his music. It's sad that he's passed, but I'm glad that the family has left us with this music. The next song, Good News, again, is very similar. It's all a lot of the same stuff where it's in life we want, everyone wants to hear good news, but you don't always have good news. It's not something that you could always have. It's something good and positive. Sometimes it's going to be, negative, and how do we deal with that is what Mac Miller is trying to tell us. Good News is one of those songs that has such a good vibe to it, and again, it's just him kind of talking to himself, just trying to debate on how to stay up and how to stay through life and how to stay positive without falling through, and just going through like just, you know, what's in his head. You know, he says a lot of things I regret, but I just say I forget. Why can't it just be easy? Why does everybody need me to stay? You know, got the cards in my hand. I hate dealing. I wish that I could just get out my goddamn way. What is there to say? There ain't no better time than today. You know, it's just so poetic. Mac Miller, it's just such a poetic song. Good News is just a vibe. These are all good songs that could just be listened to when you're just chilling. The song I Can See is not my favorite of it because Mac Miller goes into this really like, what I see, this sounds like this whole other genre, very kind of like almost gospel type sound, and it's not my vibe. But again, it's the same thing. It's just, you know, talking about you know, what you see in life. Again, in the middle of the album, I Can See everybody, he gets really singy, and it's not like, I'm not crazy about it, but I accept it as being part of the album. But it's not the favorite, you know, my favorite parts of the album. Because I like that Mac Miller, that kind of still on the cusp of transcending that, you know, what we know as the hip hop sound, but not going too far. Woods is another nice song that just has a steady beat. You know, you just hear Mac Miller just kind of like sound like giving his thoughts out and just, you know, talking about life again. But I like in Spotify the animation that they have for the song. It's really sick. Let me see if you can see this right here. But it's really cool. I love how they're doing that. And that's the song Woods. This is Hand Me Downs, and check out the animation on Spotify. You know, I'm gonna pause here. I mean, the album is amazing, and there's not much to say except that check it out. It's one of those albums, again, you could listen to all the time. He's kind of saying very similar things in all these different kind of sounds and melodies that are just super smooth and jazzy and relaxed and you know, just super smooth. So check it out. I like the last song on the album. I love the way it ends. Mac Miller, thank you for giving us this Circles album. Thank you to the family that's brought us this Circles album, because it's definitely definitely I can see it as a part 2 to the Swimming album. I think even Circles kind of took it to this whole other genre that I think Swimming kind of still stuck in a lot of the, you know, the hip hop vibe, but then Circles kind of just really like went to another level. And again, it makes you question what's true hip hop. But I think when you follow an artist and the artist starts off in hip hop, and if their album transcends what they typically do, I think it's okay that it stays within the genre and they transcend. That's something common. Like you might talk about, you know, like a Bob Marley, right? Bob Marley we all know as reggae, and we all know his roots. But as Bob Marley kept making albums and albums, you know, he's transcended the common reggae sound, right? To the point where he produced music that anybody could listen to, even if you're across genre, even if you're like in any other genre, anyone like knows Bob Marley. And I think the point is, at some point, you know, an artist can transcend, and I think you could still call it hip hop because of the artists themselves, because of the spirit of the artist. And that transcendence of the album doesn't take away from hip hop. Actually, it gives back to hip hop, that it shows people that this music came from hip hop, that it's not another genre, that this album is still the hip hop genre. Not that it takes away, and not that this is something that now is no longer hip hop. And I don't think that's fair to do, because this kind of music shows you, like Bob Marley is still reggae, right? Mac Miller is still hip hop. It's not something that, it's not fair for people to try to take that away and say, okay, now Mac Miller is pop, because he's not. So that's how I look at it, and that's my metaphor of, look at it like Bob Marley, look at it similar to Drake, you know, where you just, you know, Drake does have a way of staying within hip hop because he keeps like half of his album very rappy, but again, it shows the world that this is what hip hop is, not that it moves away from hip hop. Alright guys, hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe. Rest in peace to Mac Miller. Comment below, tell me what you think of the Mac Miller Circles album. I'm gonna have this on stream, repeat all the time when I'm laying in bed, relaxing. Just if I'm doing anything, you know, at work or whatever, you can just have this album on without being distracted too much. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. Eminem comes out of nowhere, releases a surprise album. And I don't know what it is with Eminem about how he does this, how he can stay so quiet. how the heck someone could just drop an album and surprise everyone. He's done that twice. And I think that's what definitely makes it impactful. Something that people can definitely learn is that when you drop an album, you know, in a surprised way, people are shocked. And it's Eminem, you know? So Eminem, how I feel about this album, like Eminem is definitely always going to be a GOAT no matter what. There's got to be people who you put like Lil Wayne, who I think Drake will become, that can never, you can't really say much bad about them. But I want to talk about this album as it is, the album as Eminem laid it out. Music Murdered By, it's called. It's trending and it was released, Music to be Murdered By. It's trending and it's released during, you know, I guess the same day as Mac Miller's Circles album, which is kind of insane. I don't know if that, obviously that wasn't planned because I think Mac Miller's album, I don't know what has taken away from what. Did Mac Miller take away from Eminem's or Eminem's take away from Mac Miller's? But Eminem, I think, is, as of now, taking the #1 spot and is above probably in numbers Mac Miller's album. But I think it's totally not different. Obviously, they're both hip-hop, but two different sounds. So I think it doesn't really, you know, it's not that much of a big deal. But so Eminem's album, Music to be Murdered By, obviously Eminem, and he has the cover of the album. It's him standing with a shovel. I don't know if that's kind of like a meme on, you know, because I always thought like the whole MGK thing was funny with his, when he made the Eminem diss track and he was holding the shovel. I always thought it was ridiculous. I think it's almost, I don't know if it's like his, not a dig, because in one of his songs he kind of like concludes the beef between him and MGK, but for him holding the shovel is just kind of like a meme of the MGK situation. But I think the Kamikaze album has brought Eminem to this level of now releasing, like getting back on track, trying to release an album. The one thing I'm a little wary about is like, does he put new artists on there because he respects new artists? Does he put the artists he respects? Or does he put that to kind of create some kind of buzz? Because sometimes when I hear some of the music that he has with a new artist, it almost feels like there's not a disconnection, but I don't know if they really were in the studio together. It's kind of like you do your verse, and I do my verse, and we'll put it together in production, which probably that's how a lot of music is done today anyway. But sometimes I don't know. Like my favorite song on that album, or one of the favorite songs, is the Eminem and Young M.A. song. It's called Unaccommodating, featuring Young M.A. Young M.A. is insane on that song. Like the track is it's hot. Like it's, I don't want to say I can't say she's outdone. I almost want to say, I don't know whose verse was better, but that Young M.A. verse is sick. It's fire. It's insane. And I don't want to say it's better than Eminem's, but it isn't better because, right? I mean, it's just like both better than, but it's just amazing how a Young M.A., how you can hear a new artist and see how they can be almost on the same page as Eminem. And why he chose Young M.A. or how that duo came about, like was it him choosing Young M.A.? Like it's such a crazy, like, I don't want to say like just two kind of like opposite worlds, like Eminem and then like Young M.A., you know, this white rapper and this, you know, black lesbian, you know, rapper, which is all good, but they come together to make this song who seem like they come from different worlds, but hip hop puts them on the same track. And Young M.A. to me is just insane. It's accommodating. I love that song. But again, I don't know like to what degree, I know Eminem doesn't like a lot of the new, or kind of makes fun of the new artists. And I guess he sees Young M.A. as not one of those people. And I just want to ask Eminem, like, is it that you don't see it as one of those people, or is she like a ploy in the thing to kind of get in people's faces? And I guess that's okay too, because you got to kind of like do that in this day and age. But I just want to make sure he respects new artists. Young M.A. is, and then Eminem comes in. It's just a great duo. The chemistry between Young M.A. and Eminem is sick. The Unaccommodating sound is sick. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. So I want to talk about the part in the Unaccommodating song where Eminem has this controversial line, and it's trending, you know, on Twitter, and people are mad at him, you know, for these controversial lines. And the line, when the line in the lyric goes, but it seems like the more they study my music, the more they remind me of my eyeballs. I'm watching my pupils get cornier, but I'm contemplating yelling bombs away on the game like I'm outside of an Ariana Grande concert waiting. And then he goes on with the chorus. They call me Saddam Hussein, Ayatollah Khomeini. Where's Osama bin? I've been Laden lately. Look at how I'm behaving. They want me gone away. They want to Joe Benaimi. So, you know, a lot of people have tweeted that this was insensitive, you know, to joke or infuse like the situation of the bombing of the Ariana Grande, you know, concert, or you know, and what has happened there, to put it in your lyric. And it's controversial. I don't know how people feel in hip hop. I would say there's two things. How I feel about it is there's two things, right? The first thing is, if you're connected, right, if something like that has happened to you personally, if that situation and you lost someone there, it hurts. I can't imagine like how that feels to hear it, right? If you know, had a family member, or you knew friends, or you were there, to hear the joke about it, you know, or I don't know if he's joking, just infusing it. It's metaphorical too, right? But it hurts. At the same time, like, rap has been, and poetry has always been infused with, you know, metaphors and similes that, you know, you put together not because you're mocking something, but you're trying to make something impactful. So it's not like when he says, I want to yell bombs away on the game, like he's talking about the rap game, like it's like he wants to slaughter the rap game, right? It's a metaphor, or a simile in this case, where he says like the, you know, the bombing of Ariana Grande's concert, you know. And it's not that I think he's trying to like say, right, anything that's okay, but they're using like a metaphor, right? And even like it goes in the history of hip hop where Biggie says blow up like the World Trade, right? And then that's become cut out because since the World Trade Center is what happened, it feels insensitive and it hurts people, so they feel like, you know, it's offensive, so they cut it out. But I don't, and that's the thing, like, is that okay in hip hop? But it's a very common thing. Eminem's not the first person to do it. Biggie's done it. Trippie Redd does it a lot. People have done it a lot when they, Trippie Redd has a song where he says Columbine, you know, and it's like, you know, referencing like the shooting, you know, and things like that, like as if you're gonna shoot or spit or whatever. But rappers have used, you know, definitely like key, like negative things that, incidences that has happened, and like people who are quote unquote, you know, enemies, you know, of the state, have used them as always references, as metaphors and similes. And I think if you take that away from hip hop, or you take that away from the song, I don't think it's fair, because I don't know where's the freedom of speech. It could be insensitive, and I think we can be at a place where we say, hey, it's okay to do, but it's offensive. I think we have to be okay with a place like that, because if we take away everything that's offensive, we're not going to get good music, we're not going to get good poetry, we're not going to get things that are just freedom of speech, right? Things that people want to say and do. You know, we can't take that away. So I think we have to be okay with saying, hey, you know what, Eminem, that was offensive, but you know, at the same time, he has the freedom of speech to incorporate that in a hip hop song. And I don't think that he meant it in a way that is to dig or to throw that was, you know, something positive, obviously, you know. But again, then he goes on to list all those like Saddam Hussein's and the Bin Laden or whatever. And that's been something in the history of hip hop that's been done. So that's my opinion on it. I don't know what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Is it okay or not okay for him to joke about those things? I'm not super crazy about the song with Ed Sheeran and then the In Too Deep, which is kind of like about a girl. I look at Eminem like, I don't know. I don't really want to see an Eminem and Ed Sheeran collaboration. I don't know what his deal is with that. Like, if he did that because he wanted to, you know, get into that scene, you know, kind of transcend to the pop, which he has already like transcended, but I mean, like, get into that sound. He's never really left hip hop, you know, and get the Ed Sheeran audience. But I don't want to see that personally as a hip hop head. I don't want to ever hear Eminem talking about girls that much, or trying to like the romantic part of it. I think that side of it of Slim Shady I don't want to hear. So I just skip that. The Godzilla and the Juice WRLD song is sick. I really wish there was a Juice WRLD verse on the Godzilla song, but it was a chorus. And the chorus, Juice WRLD's chorus, is amazing. I don't know if like Eminem's paid for that verse, or Eminem paid, you know, Juice WRLD's, you know, estate to get that chorus, but it's such a good song. And if he did, he probably paid a lot, because that verse looks like that would have been after Juice WRLD's passing, you know, something that if I'd heard that as an original Juice WRLD song, would be like, oh, that is fire, I want to hear some Juice, you know. And to take that and put on an Eminem song is different. And I don't know, like, I love this song, and again, there does feel like this, like, it's a good chemistry. It's like there's chemistry, but there feels like somewhat of a like that these were just like a Juice chorus that he bought and put on, you know, onto his song to get the buzz. Like, Eminem, do you really like Juice WRLD? You know, R.I.P. Juice WRLD, you know, or is it because of the buzz? But that's another conversation. Whether he does or doesn't, I have to say, it's still a good chemistry. It's still a good song. It's still, like, I like it a lot, you know. And the Godzilla verse, I love this song, and I really feel like it brings Juice back. It almost feels like he's carrying, I don't want to say carrying Eminem, but this song almost makes it feel like Eminem is like an artist that Juice is not the bigger artist, but the artist carrying the song. And I think that's out of respect. Like, I love the collaboration, and just to hear Juice again just feels so good, you know. And I think that's what makes that song so good. Let's go to the next song. My next favorite song on the album is the Ya 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 song, where it's a sample of Busta Rhymes' Ya 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 Ya, you know. And there's Black Thought, Q-Tip on there. I doubt a lot of people are gonna know that those features, you know, Q-Tip being part of a Tribe Called Quest a long time ago, Black Thought being part of the Roots, you know, in the 90s, and Black Thought now being, I don't know if he's on the Jimmy Fallon show or if the Roots are on the Jimmy Fallon. I'm not sure. Does Black Thought still rap? Because I don't watch the Jimmy Fallon show, but I believe the Roots are all part of that. They're the band, the resident band for the show. And so I think people might know that. But Q-Tip was one of the really great artists of our time, of like the hip hop in general. Q-Tip of Tribe Called Quest was in the 90s was one of those like rap bands that were rap crews that were like really well known and took hip hop to another level. So it was really nice to hear them all on here. I think Q-Tip does the chorus. I couldn't really find Q-Tip's part on here, but I think he does the chorus. Black Thought's verse on here is like insane. You know, Black Thought, again, he's ill. He brings, you know, the fire. He brings the dope lyrics. And I don't know what a lot of people of today who listen to hip hop, how they feel, like the newer, like the younger kids. I'm not sure if they see Black Thought as that being a dope artist. But one thing that I did notice from here is that a lot of the older artists don't seem to really move that much with the times. Like Black Thought, even though I've always loved the Roots. The Roots were one of the best rap crews in hip hop, and Black Thought is one of the best rappers ever to do it. But when you see them in modern times, like, I don't know if they mesh well, you know, with the current state of hip hop. So I think this is a way that Eminem introduces people to the older art of hip hop. And I question, you know, again, it's a question of, can these older artists, and I think like Redman now released a nice song, can they do it, you know, and stay on, you know, and can they mix well? And Eminem, I guess, is trying to do that. I guess you gotta bring the artist. But that leads me to question, Eminem's sound hasn't really changed much, right? The Eminem that you hear now is very similar to the Eminem you heard back then. And it's very interesting, right? Because like I said, I did a video on Mac Miller. If you think of, or XXXTentacion, if you go back to their first songs, then you hear the later songs, you see this transcendence of their tracks and their music. Eminem still sounds like Eminem. And you can look at that for as good or bad. Is that something that is okay to sound like the same? Or should Eminem kind of like go a little bit with the new sound, you know? And I don't think he has really, but I do think what he has done well is bring some new artists here, these features, to kind of like throw it in your face, like, hey, I'm still up with the times. I'm gonna put Young M.A on here, and I'm gonna put Juice WRLD on here. So here you go, and I'm gonna let you know what I'm about. So kind of a way to bring his voice into the current, you know, state of hip hop. So whether it's like he can't mesh well, or he's saying, hey, I can't mesh well, I'm just gonna show you what I'm about, what my voice is about. I'm gonna bring my voice, my old voice, to this current state of hip hop. And I think that's Eminem's, what he's doing here with this album. I'm not gonna do every song. I love the Don Toliver feature. Again, the songs I love are the ones he does with the newer artists, and I think that's just really important. Hats off to Eminem for doing this. I like a few of the songs, are some of my favorites. I don't like every song, but I think Eminem is one of the best to do it. I think this is showing that he's here, that he's gonna keep coming out, that he's gonna try to stay in touch and always watch what's happening in the rap game and kind of come out and do what he has to do. So like and subscribe, comment below, tell me what you think of the new Eminem album. Redman, slap the ish out you. Redman is an old artist. When I first saw his face come up in my feed, I was just like, crap, like I can't believe this is Redman came out with a new song. I go back to the 90s. If you go back to Redman, you definitely gotta check out some of his older songs. Tonight's the Night, Time for Some Action. These are some of the classic songs in hip hop. And when I saw his old face, I just couldn't believe it. Him with the beard, and he came out with the song. The song is almost, I mean, he does this pretty well. Like, he does this song, and really, like, a lot of time artists, like, older artists have a hard time breaking in. But I think this song, I don't think it's gonna, how many views it's gonna get, but it's doing pretty well, and I think it's gonna do pretty good because of the meme factor. And I think this shows like a lot of artists that, especially older artists, that if you don't have this kind of like some kind of shock value, you know, that really is what helps you in today's day and age. And Slap the Ish Out You, when he first came on, he was like, I want to let you know I don't condone violence. I don't condone violence towards women and stuff like that. I was like, what is he talking about? Like, why is he saying that? And then when I saw the video, I knew what he was doing. It was just like, psh, psh. And when he does those slaps, they're hilarious. And the things that he addresses are funny. You know, like, give me your EBT card, go get your wig, I'm not gonna pay your rent, you can't wear my gold, you just want my money, all the stuff that people know about, you know, that makes people kind of, you know, say like, oh, it's annoying when people do this. And like, just seeing Redman slap the ish out someone, it's kind of hilarious. But then there's a part of it that does seem a little violent, and I kind of see like why he kind of made that. In today's day and age, you know, you got to make those disclaimers. You know, because people say, oh, are you condoning this? Is that okay? You know? And almost just like what happened with Eminem, you know? Like, you're talking about The Bombs Away in Ariana Grande's concert. Like, that's not cool. You got to make these disclaimers in today's day in hip-hop. These rap disclaimers that I don't mean anything by it. It's funny, but sometimes it does seem a little, like, ridiculous. But it's the way he does it that makes it funny, right? Because if you slap the ish out someone and you're just like, you know, and you have this vibe, but he kind of, like, goes... He kind of has this like funny pause that makes it funny, you know, but you see he does it to an older woman, a younger girl, you know, a small guy, you know, a big guy, and it's funny, you know. I just think the laugh factor is there. It's hilarious. I don't know. I really like the Redman, you know, song, Slap the Ish Out You, and I think it's cool that he came back, on the scene. Go check out some of his old stuff. It's great to see older artists kind of infuse themselves like into the new art. And I think he does good here, man. I don't know how you guys feel. I think he does a good job. I think the video is just, it's kind of funny to hear what he's saying. And I think, again, that's something to say, like, that artists have to have some kind of shock value if people don't know about you and you want to get, you know, heard. But I would say Redman is a classic in hip hop. Go check out. And I think this is good because now you can go back to his legacy, the stuff, his classics. He has some stuff out there that's been some of the pillars of hip hop. You know, Time for Some Action, Tonight's the Night. Those two songs are classics, up there with the Biggie, up there with the Lil Wayne kind of stuff of the 90s. You know, people won't know about it today, but of the 90s, those sounds, that sound was just so fresh. Redman is the kind of artist too. He's always been like, he kind of looks like that kind of ratchet, grimy kind of artist. And I mean that in a good way, not in a bad way. That the Redman is the type of person that looks like, and he says it, like in one of his interviews, that he likes to still be in the hood. He doesn't want to go too far out of his comfort zone. Redman's the type, I think he's from Newark, that he just keeps his persona. You know, and maybe grimy is not the right word to describe him, but you know, it's that dude, you know, like, and that he's just who he is, you know, like, it is what it is. Like, he's gonna say what he wants to say, no one can tell him what to do, and that's the kind of Redman that we know. I think the song is dope, it's funny, the music video is great, it's hilarious. Just check it out, guys, and go enjoy it. Peace. I hope you guys enjoy the Redman song. Tell me what you think of that song. Hey, is it controversial? Is it not? Is it okay you slap those people in that video, which you obviously never slapped? You probably should have said, I didn't hurt no women in the making of this video. You know, that would have made it even a stronger disclaimer. Key Glock is one of those artists that he's just up and coming. I really like his new song, Look at They Face, and I love this song. I just think it's dope. I think his style is really unique. I'll listen to this song. I love this song. It's one of my favorite songs right now. I love this song by Key Glock. Look at their face. The flow is insane, man. Like just the whole style, and I'm not even know what's going on in the video with this guy with the hat. I love this song. Look at their face. Key Glock. Go check it out. Link in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think of Key Glock. Hit that like button. Hit that smash. Hit that smash. Like all the YouTubers be saying, smash the like button. I don't know why. Just if you want to. But see you guys in the next video.